So we all just witnessed Canelo Alvarez knock Amir Khan into outer space. But there was something I mentioned in my post-fight video, and I've been mentioning the same thing in most of my pre-fight videos, going back right until this, right to the point where this fight was announced. I was constantly saying that Canelo's going to win this fight one way or another. He's either going to knock Khan out, he's either going to get a deserved decision, or he's going to get a undeserved decision. And I could not see, I said so many times, I can't see any way that Khan's going to get a decision in this fight. Even if he is seen to outbox Canelo, the judges are going to give Canelo the decision. And apparently, let me read exactly what it is here. People are posting online that the scores at the time of the knockout, when Canelo knocked Khan out, the scores were 48-47, 49-46 in favor of Canelo, and 48-47 in favor of Khan at the time of the KO. So Canelo was ahead on two of the judges' scorecards. Now, how is that possible? I told you, people, this is how it is with Canelo. You're not going to get a decision over the guy. You would have to literally beat this guy black and blue, or at least totally outslick him like Mayweather. And even then, it was a split decision. Well, if you're not Mayweather, God knows what you're going to have to do. And Mayweather's got a lot of power in the game. Mayweather's the kind of guy who you don't normally rob. But even before that fight, I said, you know what? I bet they're going to try and rob Floyd. That's how powerful Canelo is in the game politically. And I thought, you know what? If they tried to rob Floyd, then there is no way in hell Khan's going to get a decision. Impossible. And people were trying to tell me, oh, that one judge in the Floyd fight was because it was because of gambling. It was just one corrupt judge. It wasn't anything to do with Canelo. It was just to do with gambling. Absolute BS. There is a pattern in Canelo fights where he gets decisions over his opponents which are far wider than they should be. This is a pattern. This is not just a one-off thing with the Floyd fight. No, it's a pattern. Yeah? In the Trout fight, in the Lara fight, in the Miguel Cotto fight, and in the Mayweather fight, okay, where they tried to rob Floyd and one of the judges had a draw. If you fight Canelo, you are fighting the whole WBC boxing establishment over there in the States, right? Because they're just not going to give you a decision in there. And I'm sure Triple G's looking at that and saying, you know what, I ain't going to leave it to the judges. And he probably wouldn't. But yeah, so I'm not surprised in the slightest that they had Canelo ahead on the scorecards at the time of the KO. Most people would have had Khan up. Canelo really did nothing for the first 4.5 rounds, really. It was only after that he started cutting off the ring and getting into the fight, and he finally got the KO. But as I say, to me, this was a no-win situation for Khan. Like, there was no way he was going to win the fight. The judges were going to give it to Canelo regardless, and it was going to be difficult for Khan to avoid getting KO'd. You know, and that's another thing I mentioned pre-fight. I said if Canelo's getting outboxed, he will turn up the pressure the way he did against Erislandy Lara. But unlike Lara, Khan is, well, he's not as lanky as Lara. His arms are not as long. He's defensively not as good as Lara. He's not as physically strong as Lara. And he don't take a punch as well as Lara. I said all this pre-fight. And as I say, one way or another, Canelo got his victory. So, and he was always going to get it. This was a no-win situation for Khan. Poor Amir Khan. But everybody should have expected this, in my opinion. Yeah. What do you think should be done? Can anything be done about this bias that Canelo has, sorry. This favor that he has with WBC judges is scandalous. But it's going to continue until he comes up against maybe, I don't think there's anybody else out there, a Mexican star. I mean, Chavez Jr. I know he's not really a major player in boxing at this point, but if he fought him, would the scoring be fair? Maybe. Other than that, you're going to have to nail this guy to the canvas. You're going to have to beat the absolute crap out of him to get a decision. Golovkin's just going to have to go for the KO, which he will, and I'm sure he'll get it anyway, if Canelo's got the heart to actually step in the ring with Golovkin. We'll see, people. And, yeah, you know what? I don't want to come across as I told you so or arrogant in this video or anything like that, because I'm really not that kind of person. So, you know, apologies if I've come across like that in the video, but I just felt like people weren't looking at the obvious before this fight, which is the obvious bias that Canelo has, you know, in his favor. It's so obvious. I can't believe people were looking at that CJ Ross score in the Mayweather fight and thinking that was just some isolated incident, and looking at the scores in the other fights and just shrugging their shoulders like, oh, there was nothing corrupt there. Come on, people. Come on. Canelo is a judge's favorite, to say the least, to put it mildly. And like I say, I was just a bit frustrated that a lot of people couldn't see that before this fight. He's such a massive judge's favorite, man. WBC judges. Come on. So, anyway, over and out, people.